Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Unpacking Love. I'm so excited to have two amazing guys in the house. We've got T in the house. Hey T, what's up? What's going on?
Hey Michelle, how you doing?
Good, good. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. I've been waiting forever. And then we've got Ryan in the house today. Ryan, what's going on?
Hello, hello. Good to be back. I know it's second time around, but I'm still as pumped as if it's the very first time I was on.
Yeah, I'm excited. You guys might remember Ryan from the Tinder Swindler episode.
I was not actually the swindler himself.
Yes, he was not. He was not. But he was one of the, I guess, founding guests on the episode or on the podcast. So super, super excited to have you back. So today, everybody, as you've seen in the title, we're gonna be talking about the boyfriend allowance. And the reason why I'm so excited about this is before we even get to speaking about the boyfriend allowance, we're going to hear the two guys on here on what they think about the girlfriend allowance. And so for people who listened to the girlfriend allowance episode I did with Irene and Chiedza, we're going to hear what these two think about the girlfriend allowance, and then we'll transition into the boyfriend allowance. Okay. So I'm so excited. I am so excited. So let's get started here. What does girlfriend allowance even mean? So when I did the girlfriend allowance episode with Irene, how she defined it was it's money that a woman would get from her man or her boyfriend or her partner that doesn't have to be explained, right? So like she could use that money to like buy herself clothes or to get her hair done, but it doesn't have to be explained by, or she doesn't have to like give an explanation to the person who gives her the money that, oh, this is what I'm using the money for. And essentially I think the interesting part that came up was initially in the episode it was talking about, oh, this is money that's no strings, but I think as the episode kind of progressed, it turned out that there were some strings that could have been attached to it, in the sense that maybe if you are getting an allowance, you also have an expectation almost that's put, even though it's not stated as an expectation, that maybe you're going to do more of like, the cooking, or like, you will help out with laundry or help out with some of the household chores that your man would need help with. So yeah, having said that, Ryan, what do you think about the girlfriend allowance?
All right on the spot. Thank you. So I think this is a very interesting topic. Even when when you brought that episode up as well, I personally think I can go either way, which I know is not committing to either side. But the reason I say that is I've personally never actually handed it out or discussed it, and it's not something that would be top of mind to me. Just from like, I guess let me put it this way: I think if it's like a relationship, I probably would be leaning against it, just because I don't know. I feel like people just have their own situations going on, and so like where I come in like a relationship pre-marriage, I think is more of like I love to offer to pay for different things in terms of like food, like on dates and movies and things like that. But in terms of just like, and also like I also like give gifts. But in terms of just I don't know, like a weekly, here's this amount. I don't know, it just seems weird to me. But maybe this is my experience. So far is that I feel
Mm,
like the other person, at least in my own experience, would actually probably be offended by even the thought of me like bringing something like that up. So that's why I think in like a premarital relationship, it would be like that. Post
mm,
marriage, I feel like people would probably still do 50-50, but I feel like, the money is joint anyways. So you'd still be buying each other gifts and things like that. But I think that one is like it's more natural, I guess, to like if I don't know, if someone's like, oh, I went to groceries this week and they're this much, and like you have uh and you've agreed beforehand how you're gonna treat those things. I think it feels more natural to me versus in like a relationship right now. In terms of like pre-marriage, I feel like it's not something financial stuff doesn't really come up. But yeah, long
mm.
story, but that's sort of my overarching views on that.
Okay, okay, sounds good. Yeah, I love your response. I mean, I would have loved your response either way, even if you had said even if you had said the other thing. But I think essentially what you're saying is that when it comes to pre-marriage, like you financially contribute to things, but you wouldn't necessarily give a monthly or like a weekly allowance. And also maybe it would depend on whoever you would be in a relationship with at the time. But financial stuff doesn't really like just come up in a relationship. Did I sum up that, like what you were thinking? Okay.
I would say so, and just like clarifying that the financial parts come in from like splitting certain dates or offering to pay for certain things, that the person offers to pay for certain things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I got you loud and clear. Let's hear it from T. T, what do you think about girlfriend allowance?
Personally, I've never done it before.
Okay.
And I think I personally I think it's only come in play when the girlfriend doesn't have like a job and I can actually financially provide and help out. And also knowing how serious the relationship is. And I also believe that even with friendship, not just in girlfriend or relationship, when money comes in play, there's always this power dynamic. And I wouldn't want that to happen where like the girlfriend is just solely relying on me financially just for me to provide her with an allowance. And I just feel like it will affect the power dynamic in the relationship. I believe that in a relationship with my girlfriend, I want the playing field to be equal. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like sometimes I think, like I'm saying, this is my own personal experience from what I've experienced in life. Like, I feel like when someone always provides and gives you money, sometimes you might feel uncomfortable to say some things that will bother you or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what? He gives me this money, so let me just like shove this underneath the pillow. I don't want to talk about it because I know I'm getting money on Friday. I don't want to make the person mad, and and I don't want that to be like the kind of relationship I have. But me, I know I'm gonna if I have when I have a wife, the allowance that one, okay, that's definitely something I can see happening. By a girlfriend that I don't even know if I'll marry, I don't think I'll be doing that. If it's a fiance, okay, I know I'm gonna marry her, then sure. But I think girlfriend allowance is like pushing it a little too much.
To summarize what you're saying, essentially, you're not okay. Okay, you might not be okay with like a girlfriend allowance, but you would be open to it if it's a fiance or like a wife allowance, because I guess there's more for commitment there. And I think it ties to like your first point of how serious the relationship is. And then I think something you did mention though was it might also depend on the girlfriend situation. So if she happens to be unemployed, then you could be open to giving a girlfriend allowance. Did I get that like correctly?
Exactly. But also, I think you mentioned the Irene, right? The last episode. She
Mm-hmm.
was saying the person gives her money without knowing where the money is coming from. Like, for example, if your girlfriend is like I wouldn't give the allowance, but I mean, obviously, if you go on dates and stuff, I think personally, I think it's important for the man to pay for it. That's just me being traditional. Like I think Ryan was talking about how like you go on dates and you pay like stuff like that. Like that's something I have no issue with. Or like, or if she go ahead gets her nails done, you're like, hey, I sent you some money to get your nails done on Friday or something, or like that kind of thing. But I don't think I'll just be sending someone money like I'm like the CEO of the relationship, you know, sending out paychecks. I don't want to do that.
The
I'll
paychecks.
put that in my tax form. Yeah.
Oh man. No, I mean that is solid. And
Yep.
that was
Yep.
very funny, right? Like I think both of you are essentially on that side of things where you're like, you know what, you're totally, open and fine with paying for dates and whatever. But then when it comes to someone is on your payroll, then that's like pushing it, especially if there isn't that that extra commitment, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think something too that you mentioned that I wanted to talk about a little bit is the power dynamics thing. That sometimes if you are depending on someone for sustenance, right, or you're depending on someone for whatever. Let's say, for example, in some relationship and like you've moved in, but you moved in like earlier on in the relationship. It might be that now you're so dependent on someone, like, oh my gosh, I can't even say anything to upset him because what happens if I upset him and then I've fumbled my accommodation? So it's almost like if there isn't that expectation of getting money on a regular, then you might feel more free to just express how you feel truly without sweeping things under the rug.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was trying to say. So yeah, you got it.
Cool. Well, you know what? I also want to say that I commend both of you for being the ones who are like, you know what? Yes, let's pay for dates and, let's do the gifts and stuff. It's nice to know that I'm not on this podcast with some stingy men. So thank you. I
Oh,
appreciate
oh no, no. But I also wanted to say like I think that eventually, because people always have this conversation about paying on the day, paying on the days. But I think that if you're dating a reasonable lady, maybe one day she just be like, you know what, I got you this. I bought some food for us or something. Like, I think that's inevitable to happen if she actually cares about you. I don't think a caring, a nurturing woman will just watch you pay for everything forever and never be like, oh, sometimes when you get that little like, don't worry about it, babe, I got it this time. It's just nice, but I never expect it. I always want to be the one, but when you get that, it always feels nice. Do you agree with what I'm saying, Ryan? Like, you know what I mean?
I get it. I'll say that I think what you're saying makes sense too as well. That it is nice. So first, Michelle, thanks for saying that we're not stingy. And yeah, for sure, no. Like T said, it's one of those things where it's also nice to get gifts to yourself. And I know there's going to be a boyfriend's allowance part that comes in, but so I think it was sort of like clarifying on our positions that you, like Tia said again, you don't want someone to be your employee, right? Where you're paying them every week or something like that, because the power for sure will shift. But no, like I think on my end too, sort of depending on the person, like if the person's more into doing a 50-50 split too, I'm totally fine with that. If they're more like traditionalist of like, oh, the guy should pay, like I'm also okay with that. So for sure, it's not one of those things that's driven by me not wanting to pay. Just sort of thinking it would feel kind of weird handing someone a lump sum or like certain amounts of money on a weekly basis. But no, that's sort of just something to clarify as well there.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the clarification. And something that I wanted to bring here as well is when we were having the girlfriend allowance conversation, I think there was a split, right? It was me and two guests. And so it was one of us who is not me, clearly. I had never qualified for girlfriend allowance. But essentially one of the guests had gotten an allowance, and then the two of us had never received an allowance. So in having our conversation, I think something that came up was this whole discussion of being an independent woman versus like a dependent woman, right? And actually my guest was like, you know what, I absolutely love, and I quote her, she was like, I absolutely love being the damsel in distress, right? And she was like, you know what, you two, the reason why you're not getting the girlfriend allowance is because you're too independent, and that's the problem. So I actually am curious, like, what your guys' thoughts are about that whole, like, I guess, dependency versus independence in a relationship.
I think as I grow as a man, I'm learning to. In my mind, I want an independent woman, but I wasn't ready when I received an independent woman who was more financially, capable than me. When I had that situation, I wasn't. That's what I thought I wanted till I actually received it, because she also obviously had more money than me at the time we were dating, and so I don't know how to answer the question, because when I did have it, I was kind of insecure. I was like, oh man, let's go to this more expensive restaurants, which I can pay for, but it's not in my budget. But she is like something that she can do whenever she wants. So I don't. So you know what I'm saying. So even though I was still feeling the sense of insecurity. So I don't know.
I see. No, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, in the sense of, I think you're taking kind of like that financial thing and saying, okay, let's look at the girl and what kind of lifestyle she has with her own money, right? Like what she can do for herself, and can I provide the same at this level? Is that what you're referring to?
That if I'm looking for an independent woman, some men don't think before they are like, if you see a woman wearing obviously like her lifestyle, she has, her lifestyle is more extravagant than the lifestyle you have, and you're independent, or you want to be the one in control. It's not going to be possible, because she's already taking care of herself. So independent woman, I'll at least want to make sure at least we have like similar lifestyle, like, because I just, me personally, I even though I wanted to be independent, I also want to be a provider as well. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I think that's fair. Like, you do have, like, for you, something that you want in a relationship is to be a provider. So, like, a relationship that's conducive to that would be a great relationship for you. How about if we talk, because something that came up in the episode that we had was, my guest, the one who received girlfriend allowance in every relationship, something that she said was, even if her tires, her tires on her car needed to be changed or whatever, or like she needed like some work done with stuff. She basically was completely hands off on that. So independence in that regard of like anything that she wants done, she is depending on you. Like, how do you feel about that?
I don't think I'll feel comfortable with it because we're all adults. I mean, obviously the tie is different. Like, if she doesn't do anything, she just like expects me to do everything. I don't. That's the type of relationship I want. I want a relationship where it feels like I, that's why I'm I'm contradicting myself because I still want to feel like the provider, quote unquote, but I also want you to be able to do some things by yourself. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be like a co-piloting thing, like we're helping each other. I'm helping you, but I don't know. But I'm the captain.
But I'm the captain. Is that what you said, T?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Ryan, let's hear it from you. This concept of dependent woman versus independent woman. What are your thoughts, or where do you lie on the spectrum of what you would want?
Sure, for sure. Thanks. So first, I'd say, for T there, I think you brought up a good point about things that he specifically would want, and so I think that's like a key thing where for any of these things, I think ultimately it's about knowing what you want and then matching up with someone who meets that and / who's also looking for something you want. So if you want someone who's dependent, when you match up with someone who's dependent and who wants someone to kind of like, to your point about the other person on the other episode, if she wants someone who's like hands-on for everything, then that's like a perfect match. So I think ultimately in situations like that would be great. And as for me personally, I think my experience has mostly been on the independent side of things, just thinking about it. And I think it's something as well that I like. But I feel like it's just because of growing up and everything else, just society and things like that during the time. I think I grew up with an expectation of myself of like sort of being the one to take the front foot in terms of different things, whether it's like paying for things or initiating different stages of the relationship and things like that. So I think I kind of went into it with this viewpoint of, oh, like this is what I'm expected to do. But my experience has actually ended up being like the inverse, where I end up with I experienced more of the independent side of things. So with that being said, I think I actually like that, and that I still have the option of offering, which I feel like I always do. But in that independent situation, the other person's also like, hey, I want to pay for it this time, or I've got this, you can have this instead. So I think it ends up being like a situation where honestly you might actually be able to do more because you essentially have, especially if you both of you on the same level, you essentially have like two incomes where you can both use for each other, as opposed to a situation where it's like, yeah, even by yourself you can have you lift the whole relationship, but I feel like that then limits you to the number of places you can go to or the things you can do. If it's one of those things where only your income is the one that's being directed towards things. But once again, like I said, if it's a situation where the people in the relationship like that, then it works out perfectly and everyone's happy. So ultimately, I think that's what it is. But to answer it personally, I think I like the independent version where I have the ability to offer and to like step up. But it's nice going back to what T had said earlier on, when the other person's like, hey, I got you this, or hey, like, I've got this. It just makes you feel appreciated as well.
Wow, I have some wise men on this call. Like, wow, can we just take a moment to appreciate what is going on over here? I absolutely love what you said. And I think the first thing that you said, which was key, was that it's important to know what you want out of a relationship, what you want for yourself, right? And so
also
like
know who you're approaching before you like know your caliber before you approach a specific lady. Some people they are so blindsided by like they want an independent, but this independent woman has like she's living this lifestyle. Is that a lifestyle you can, you know what I'm saying? Just know
right.
Know yourself before you approach someone else.
I like that. I think that's a good point.
Because I caused that. I've been there before, and I went to go and join something that was bigger than me, and I didn't know.
Oh man.
It was a humbling experience.
I absolutely love that. Yeah. So okay, two key things that have come up here. Number one, from what Ryan said, know what you want and match with your type. So if you want someone who's dependent on you, that's who you should match up with, right? For the women, if you want someone who would give you a girlfriend allowance, that's someone you would match up with. And actually, that's what my guest was saying, where she was like, look, if there was no girlfriend allowance that would come with the relationship, that was not my type of guy. You're not a bad guy, but you're just not what I'm looking for, right?
Exactly.
And then the second thing that T said is, and you know what, T, I appreciate you saying this because you're a man speaking to men, right? So for the men who are listening, it's not like this is coming from me, a woman who does not know the male experience. So this is coming from a man who's saying, you know what, for some guys, you end up getting into situations that are sticky situations, and it's because you reached where you should not have reached. So it's also important for you to know who you are and know who you are approaching, right? And know whether you'd be able to kind of sustain the lifestyle that you're reaching for. Wow.
You go to a nice second date, but can you do that on the fifth date? The first 3 days you are going to nice places, but you have to just know your budget as well before you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Cool. I think one last question that I will end with: if you met a girl who was to say that in relationships she expects a girlfriend allowance, and let's say the amount that she says, let's use something like say $200 per month in a relationship or more, right? Would that be a deal breaker for you, or like a red flag? Let's start with Ryan.
I know earlier I said, I can go either way, but given the specific case where it's like they're like, hey, it's a deal breaker, I for sure think it would, because I think at that point I'd just be like, hey, ultimately there are many people out there for you in terms of like I personally believe that it comes down to like there isn't just like one person, and once you screw that, it's over. It's one of those things. I feel like there are a bunch of people who meet you have certain characteristics that would match really well with you, and that you can actually genuinely be happy with. And so because of that, I think when you meet someone who says something that you'd have to seriously compromise yourself to be with them, I feel like ultimately we won't be happy, right? Because initially you might be like, oh, you know what, this person's worth me just $200. Like I'm able to do it. Like, yeah, the other positives are way better than it. But trust me, after like 3 or 4 months, you'd be like, all right, like is this what life is gonna be like? Where every time I'm just so I think because of that, I'd have to. I think I'd just be like, you know what, it's all good, nice to meet you, but no, because I think it's all those things where it's like I like having sort of the where it's not like an obligation, right? Where you're like, hey, I want to buy this person gifts because I love this person, I want them to feel great, and this is gonna be awesome. I want them to feel so special, as opposed to, hey, this person expects me to pay them $200 a month. I think I think I genuinely would not be happy, especially after a few months. So if they say, hey, there's a deal breaker, I think I'll be like, all right, I think we can peace out.
Okay, so in other words, and the reason why I picked $200 was because I wanted to pick an amount that wouldn't be like outrageous, right? So essentially, like for you, Ryan, like what you're saying is, if the part that makes it a deal breaker for you is the fact that it's an expectation to even receive something monthly,
right?
When you would be willing to just say, like, buy gifts, pay for dates, etc.
Right, because then if that's the thing, like if it's always probably the paying for dates, gifts, etc. Like from like one side to the next would possibly even exceed the 200 a month. But it's more of like the fact that it's like the static figures, the expectation. Granted, like in the other situation where it's like paying for dates and stuff, especially if the other person's also paying, then like it nets out to where it's like it evens out eventually. So it wouldn't be like 200 net, but so out of all of this is to say, it's not about the amounts, it's about the obligation that you're put under, where it's like, all right, is this, for me personally, I don't think it's what I want. Granted, I've never experienced it, so maybe that's what I'm coming from. So yeah.
Okay, I love that. That's fair. Thanks so much for sharing your honest thoughts on that. How about for you, T? If a girl did, meet you and say that, hey, I have an expectation of at least $200 per month of, like girlfriend allowance, would that be a deal breaker for you?
Yes, and that would not be the girl for me. So like, I just know, like, having those expectations. That's why I said it's important to know yourself. If you don't know yourself, you're just gonna be accepting anything. You know what I'm saying? Like some people, they'll be like, "Oh, $200 a month, that's nothing for me. I love you, let's go." But like for me, I just know that once a girl says that,
Mm.
like for me, once I meet a girl, we go on a first day, and she starts having expectations that are financial, I just know that that's the woman for me. If she has expectations that are like emotional, or morals, or values and stuff, okay, then that's cool. That's something I'm aligned with. But if the first thing you say is, "Oh, I want my man to pay me $200 a month," it's not about a red flag. You're not the one for me. I'll leave you be. I'll just tell you, have a good day. I'm not gonna say anything negative because there are a lot of men out there that will pay more than that, and
True.
they're okay with it.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, so my answer is no. That's not my
Okay.
woman. Yeah.
So, T, I want to go further with what you said, because you said if that's what she's bringing up, like earlier on, like on a first date or whatever, that's a red flag. How about now? Let's say you've been in a relationship with her. It's 2 years down the line. She's never asked for any, she's never asked for any allowance. Then she listens to Girlfriend Allowance, one of my episodes, and she says, "You know what? I now want an allowance." So your girlfriend of 2 years, who you love, now wants something, $200. Would that affect the relationship?
um. First of all, you see, that's why I'm going by T because the answer. um, I don't know. My answer is I don't know because it just depends on the relationship. I mean, I pray for abundance. I pray that God
Mm-hmm.
gives me so much money that money will never be I don't ever want money to be an issue. But most of the reasons why people get divorced is because of money. You know that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I pray that I pray that by the time that my future girlfriend, wife, she listens to this podcast about girlfriend allowance, like I'll be in a good place where I'm like, oh, that's nothing to me. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My answer is I don't know. That's what I'll say. I don't think the one for me will listen to a podcast. Oh, now I want money. I don't think so. I don't think the one for me will do that. She should know that before she entered the relationship. I mean, I want to
Okay.
date someone who knows themselves well enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you know what? That is totally fair. Cool. So now let us transition to the boyfriend allowance. So I guess what this would be, if I use my guest from the girlfriend allowance episode, this would be money that you would be getting from a girlfriend, and you don't have to explain to this girlfriend what you're using the money for. Let's start with Ryan here. Have you ever received a boyfriend allowance?
Thank you. So no, I've not. I once similar to my answer of the girlfriend allowance, it's something that's never come up, and I don't necessarily see it coming up. With that being said, if it came up, would I want that? If someone was like, "Hey, I'm just going to be giving you money," I think I would actively be against it. And I think it goes to what's already been spoken about, the whole power dynamic. Even if I'm not necessarily dependent on the person, I just feel weird accepting just money. It's one thing if someone's buying me a gift or someone's like, "Hey, it's your birthday, so here's like X amount for you to buy exactly what you want." I'm like, okay, fair enough. But if it's just like, "Hey, because we're in a relationship, here's X amount of money," I would not be a fan of that. I think I feel like with a girlfriend's allowance, I was like, oh, I guess depending on the situation I'm in, I could potentially be open to considering it. A lot of maybes in there. Whereas this, I think I would very much actively be against because I just don't want to feel like, I don't know, this person is just giving me their money and for nothing. Yeah, that's my long and short of it.
So, in other words, you have never received one, and you also don't want to receive money that you haven't worked for. That is not a gift.
That is correct.
Okay, sounds good. All right. I will give you a follow-up question after I hear T's responses to this. So, T, have you ever received a boyfriend allowance / would you want to receive one?
I've never received a boyfriend allowance, and I don't think my ego will allow me to do that, to receive that, because I just like, I think also depends on how the environment and how your relationship that you have with money is. If
Mm,
you've been around people that have used that against you, or like, hey, I helped you do this, so you have to do this for me.
Mm,
Because some people, don't they don't care. They're like, oh, no one has ever used money against them before, or helping them, and just me, I feel like I never really ask people for money. So I wouldn't want that in my relationship, especially my ego don't even allow me to accept that. I always feel like there's something behind that. There's probably going to be a day
mm,
where that person will use that against me. So I think it's
mm.
something I'll just reject, and I feel like maybe if I was younger, yeah, but now that I'm a man, I don't think you know I'll accept that.
hmm. Interesting, guys. Well, let me give you a plot twist. Let's say that you happen to be in a relationship with a woman who is making $3 million per year. And it's legal money. It's not even like they're doing some sketchy business. They're
Sure.
making $3 million a year. They want a man who, well, clearly, like, okay, let's assume in the situation that you're not making $3 million per year, right? So, like, financially speaking, you're below like the tax bracket by a lot, right? So they want a man who would provide like the emotional support and everything that comes with the relationship, but they don't want you for money. It's not like they also need you as like a way to make them financially stable. So having said that, it's just making $3 million a year. And she's like, you know what? I will give you $10,000 per month. I think the math is mathing. Yes, the math is mathing. So if she's like, you know what, I'll just give you $10,000 per month. How would you feel about that? It's no strings attached. Like she has $3 million. It's just
Sure.
10,000. Here you go. Or you know what? Maybe 10,000 could be intimidating. I'll hear your answer for 10,000, but I also want to hear something like, let's say you're not living together and they offer to pay your rent for the year.
Lots of loaded questions in there, but I'll try to tackle them one at a time. So the first one, my stance would be the same in that. So I wouldn't shy away from the situation in terms of like, I know I said what I said about the whole matching, like what you want. So if it's a deal breaker to them, that if the person doesn't accept it, then they can't be with them. Then like I think I'll just have to walk away, right? But assuming that that's not the case, I would not accept it. I'll still like be there and be the emotional support and all that stuff. But I wouldn't accept both the 10,000 a month and also just my whole rent thing. And the reasons behind it are like similar to what I said before, where I think with more money involved as well, it becomes, the power dynamics become even greater through that. And that it's like, oh, this person literally paid for my rent, and even they can't take it back. Like I know that I'm living at this place because of this person. I just feel like the dependency would then sort of there'll be this implied dependency, which I don't want to ever experience. And so because of that, I wouldn't be into it. I think it's one thing, like, for example, if it's my birthday and they buy me an expensive car, I mean, I would, as much as I might not that might not be the ideal situation. I wouldn't refuse the gift, right? Because then I'll be like, you
Come
know
on,
what?
somebody. Come on, somebody. He said, if you give me a Lamborghini, who am I to say no?
Exactly,
Continue.
right? But it's like, at least that's like, okay, this is a birthday gift. And even though it's extremely big, it's still, I don't know, in my head, there's still a reason to, or even if it's just like one of those things where if they're like, oh, I can pay for your Ubers when you come to see me, as much as I might be like, I might be like, oh, no, it's all right. If they're like, no, I insist, I'll be like, okay, that's fine. And I'll be okay with it. Because I feel like it's something that like, even if in a non-marital relationship, if I were with someone who like didn't want to take Ubers places and then they were taking Uber specifically for me, I'll be like, oh, hey, like I'd love to pay for these. So I think it seems like something that's like normal and not like building a sort of dependence. Because it's not like this person's doing it because I can't like pay for my own Ubers. They know I can, but they're just like, hey, like I know, I have slightly more disposable income. So whenever you transport yourself to here, I can just like pay for this. But if it's just like, hey, I'm giving you the lump sums, no, you don't have to explain what it went to, I wouldn't be into that.
Gotcha. All right, let's hear it from you, T. If your $3 million per year girlfriend was to give you 10K per month, or even just pay your rent per month, would you be open to that?
In this current economy we're in, you know that I'll take the $10,000, but this is how will I like where I am right now in my life? If I met someone who was making $3 million a year and they fell in love with me or whatever, and they want to help me, I'll look at it like a blessing from God or whatever, and I'll just
Yeah.
accept the $10,000 a month, right? But I'll make sure I'm actively being self-aware and being very open in the relationship and making her aware about where I stand. Hopefully, I'll actually fall in love with the person's personality and not the money, because that can be a very bumpy road to be in. So if she's giving me $10,000 a month, I'll just be saving that money and just also reciprocating the energy by getting like thoughtful gifts for her or thoughtful experiences for her. But me, I'll definitely accept that money because $10,000 a month, I can go and visit my family. You know how much a ticket is to go back home. I can go and get all the love for my family and come back. That's more important for me. So I'm accepting that money.
I respect it.
Yeah. But I'm really hope I pray to God that I actually love her for who she is, not for the money.
Right. Is there a fear actually that like is the fear that like what if you get so hooked to the money and you're not in love with the person, but now the money makes it hard to leave? Is that the worry?
I think I know myself enough. I cannot fake love.
Have you been tempted with 10K, Tayo? Have you been tempted with 10K per month?
More, not a month, but more than that. For
wow.
Yes.
You've been tempted for a what?
For more than that, for just like something, but not a month. Not like it wasn't going to be reoccurring. But I have enough self-dignity and stuff. But like I said, if I genuinely like someone, but I cannot fake love. I cannot my body cannot do it. Like I said, I've been in a relationship where someone was making more than me and the person was trying to like pay for stuff and like, because the things she was doing, I just, like I said, I could pay for it, but it's not my lifestyle. So while, you know what I'm saying? But she was offering to, but eventually it caught up to me because I was like, I started projecting towards her. I was getting angry for things that was not even her fault. She wants to do something else, and I agree. And I feel insecure, like, oh, do you think you're better than me? But I had to find out that I was projecting. So, so you just have to really know yourself. Like me, I know myself enough that if someone's paying me $10,000 a month and I love the person, I'm taking that money. I'm saving the money for a rainy day in case you want to break up with me. At least I have some money saved up.
Right.
I'm leaving with something.
I love it. Oh man,
I'm leaving this
love
relationship with something. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like if it's from somebody who you don't love, you would not accept it.
I can never do that.
Okay,
I can never do
if
that.
it's someone who has fallen in love with you and you actually love this person, you would take it as, like you said, a blessing from God.
Yes, but you have to also understand that I'm not going to just sit down and just be taking $10,000 a month from someone. I'm actually going to be a generally good person, and also if it has to be monetary, like something like she's giving me $10,000 a month, and she tells me, "Oh my God, I just love tulips. I love sunflowers. I'm gonna try my best to find the best florist in town and buy her flowers on a Monday when she wakes up, like stuff like that, Like I'll do stuff that like me knowing I can like $10,000 a month. I'll save that money and do stuff that is this. I know she can afford, but it's just the thoughtful things for her. Like I'm not gonna sit down and just be taking $10,000 a month.
Okay, so essentially, can we loosely say that you would make sure that you're showing the value, right? Like you're getting 10K and you're going to go the extra mile. Is that what's going on?
I'll go more than an extra mile. $10,000 a month. Are you serious? I'll go more than an extra mile. That's a blessing from God, if you don't know.
Change the whole perspective.
Love it. Right. Change your perspective. Okay. Does that
no.
mean
I'm not changing my answer, but I'm just saying it's just opening a whole new side of life. looking at it as
Right.
blessings.
Hey, God is telling you you're going to. Okay, that's a blessing in disguise to me.
I love it. I love it.
I love it. I love it. Okay, cool. So I want to tap in a little bit more into this power dynamic shift thing that you guys were talking about. I want to understand more about what that means. So is the worry that, if you guys got into a fight, this person would be like, after all, I'm the one who's giving you the money to do XYZ. Is that what you're referring to when you say power dynamic?
Sure. So in terms of like in a direct way, that could for sure be it, right? Especially if the person is one to hold on to things and use them against you later on, then for sure that's like a very direct way of doing it. I feel like for me it was more coming from like a subtle or like even subconscious way, maybe on both sides, right? Like on their side from like the direct way you just mentioned, if they're the ones giving the allowance, right? Where they're like, oh, like I don't know, they're just like, why is this person not being the perfect person I want? Like after all, I give them all this stuff. And then on your side or my side, I guess more from like as was mentioned earlier on, more like if I'm annoyed by something or irritated by something, maybe not bring it up because I'm like, well, like maybe it's not that big of a deal. I mean, after all, like this person does like XYZ and pays me money, and so maybe they give, for example, they give me 10K a month, so maybe it's not the worst thing that I don't know they left me on red for 2 days type thing, right? So I feel like it'll be things like that, things like that where you just feel like you can't necessarily bring it up. One, because you maybe don't want to fumble the bag, or two, just from like you feel bad that at the end of the day, what they're doing, or you might feel like whatever bad thing they're doing is like justified or washed up by the good, i.e., the financial aspect.
Okay. So you don't want to let, like, for that last point, you don't want to let the financial cloud your judgment or like your response to things.
Exactly.
Okay. How about for you, T? When you talk about this power dynamics thing, is that worry about when you fight, or what exactly does it mean? I know earlier on you did mention that like it depends on like how, like the environments you've been in, like maybe in situations, it doesn't necessarily have to be in like romantic relationships, but maybe there've been people who are like, oh, after all, I'm the one who helped you to get here. Is there more beyond that point when you talk about power dynamics?
No, I think the power dynamic can also be internalized. It doesn't. Maybe the person will never even ever say that. Maybe the person will never say that, but it's just like I said, is everyone has a singular experience on how they maneuver life. Like me, that's my experience. I've experienced that before, and it's like a response. So that's why I don't rely on people financially. I do my own thing. I don't, and I want to expect that in a relationship, because I feel like the most intimate and most vulnerable place you should always be is in a romantic relationship, to be able to, and I will never want that for that to happen. I know, like I said, I'm going back and forth with the $10,000, but what are the possibilities that I'll actually meet someone who will be giving me $10,000 a month? So
I see. So right now it's like it can only be theoretical.
yeah, so I'm saying that like the power dynamic, I just think it will happen because of my internalized experience. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Maybe the person maybe some people can give you a bunch of money and they'll never ever even say anything. They probably don't even care about. They'll never use that against you because of how they were raised. Like some people will never do that. I will never do that either, right? But just because I've experienced that before, I just assume that I project that against other people, that they'll do that to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. I really want to say I appreciate you guys coming on here and being very open and honest about your thoughts about this stuff, right? Because to your point, it's kind of like, oh, like, what do people expect me to say about this? But I really like the fact that you guys are like, well, this is what I think and this is what I stand in. And this is actually something that I like, or that I've come to love about, I guess, adulting or getting older, is that the older we get, the more self-aware we are, and the more we're confident to stand in what we think. Like, if this is what I think, No, there's no moving me. I just know that, hey, if somebody else thinks differently, then we're not compatible. And that's totally okay. So I absolutely love the fact that you guys came on here and shared your thoughts. And I learned so much. I took like 2 pages of notes and stuff. So this was so fun for me. So thank you, Ryan. Thank you, T.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. I had a lot of fun, discussing this, and yeah, thank you so much.
I had such a great time. It was great catching up, great to discuss this. And yeah, you're really bringing the topics that people out there need to hear about. So thank you.
Thank you. I absolutely love it. And you know what? If you didn't listen to the Girlfriend Allowance episode, and this is for people who are listening, go ahead and check that out too and hear what, the ladies had to speak about. I think it's been very interesting to see kind of the themes that will come up when you're speaking to men versus when you're speaking to women. Definitely learned a lot from hearing the male perspective on things, just as much as I, learned from hearing a female perspective that was definitely different to my own. So that's it from us, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And if you guys have any questions regarding, what T or what Ryan said about the Girlfriend Allowance or Boyfriend Allowance, feel free to hit me up on Instagram at Unpacking Love, and I will be sure to send your questions to Ryan and T. So thank you so much for listening. I will catch you in the next episode. Peace. Ndiwe wandiro ya moyo wangu, ndiwe wandikanganiza fungo zangu.